All right. Lex Pinz and Pete Show, week 17, week 16,
16.
Christmas edition. I'm Lex Lumpkin. We got two Pins. We got Slippery Pete.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making the spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
I guess we'll start. I guess we can kind of go over last week. I can start with a statement on my team. First, I'd like to congratulate Mikey Bowen on his win. Tough matchup for me. Tough losing Chris Godwin like that. He was off to such a hot start. Got caught on what could have been a big play too if he had not got hit like that. Then losing Mike Evans right after makes it tough. Hold on, my camera keeps turning off. I had some bad luck as well. Patterson, touchdown called back. Gronk played probably the worst game of his life. Whatever, Mikey had bad luck on his side as well. So that's just fantasy football. Losing by 10 is tough when I lose the guys that I lose to injury, though. Best of luck to Go Tigers in the future. I hope they win. I guess they're playing. Who are they playing? Big Brain?
Big Brain.
So they got Big Brain coming up. That's a big matchup. And then the other matchup, the Zits beat out Chris Carson Wentz. I feel like we all kind of saw that coming. Bowen was sweating for a little bit. In the end, he ended up running away with it. Easy victory. McMorrow is kind of follow-up championship hangover season. Finally comes to an end. He says he's focused on next year. Sounds like he's been talking to Slippery Pete about trading for some draft picks, maybe. So that's what moves on. The Zits, both Bowen and both Bowens, the Zits Go Tigers. They move on. The Zits, they'll be moving on to play two Pins. George, I don't know if you have a statement on that. Anything to say about your opponent or your strategy moving forward with this week?
Yeah, I definitely have a couple things to say. I mean, look, the Zits are a good team. They're managed well. They got a good management up there. They got a lot of good players on that team. Jonathan Taylor, obviously, he's kind of one of the top backs in the league right now, and so that's going to be a tough guy that we're going to have to look out for. Matthew Stafford, might be playing the best football of his life. He's able to get the ball deep. Luckily, we have Cooper Kupp, who's also a pretty good player. But James Robinson, obviously now without Urban Meyer there, they're going to be giving him the ball a lot more. So we're definitely going to have our hands full. We're going to have to compete hard for all 3 days that we have football, because there's football on Saturday now. So today, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to have to compete hard. We're going to need everybody, team effort, and that's all. That's about it. If we play 3 days of football, then we'll see what the chips lay at the end.
Well said. Pete, what are your reactions to this past week of football, and what do you see moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, with your matchup, KB, like, you had no business being in that game. Like, it's a heartbreaker that you lost, like, coming down to the end there. But, like, honestly, you had no shot in that game. Like, the injuries you had, like you said, with the touchdown call back on Patterson, like, you were snake bitten last week. And it's just a heartbreaker you came so close to pulling it off, because I was pulling for you. And then McMorrow, I mean, we saw that coming. McMorrow was going to lose. Congratulations to me for locking in the 1.7 in the 22 draft. I'm sure it's going to be a stud to join the Slippery Pete squad. So
I believe it would be the 1.8.
The 1.8.
Yes.
Even better.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's better. however you view it. Yeah, it sounded like you and McMahon were maybe talking about maybe making some backdoor handshake deals.
No. I mean, I don't like backdoor handshake deals. I always like to play the field and make sure everyone can make an offer on any assets that I'm putting on the market. But yeah,
That's
McMurray
true.
was reaching out. Like, he might want to jump back into the first round. I think he's kind of starting to realize that he hasn't done shit with his team besides draft it, and he's running out of gas.
Pete is famous for letting everybody get in on the deal. So
Yeah,
that
world famous on a global scale, I'd say.
no, certainly. You, Dua Lipa, Doja Cat. I mean, these are kind of the global icons right now.
I mean, that's good company, George. I'm glad we're starting the show off on the right foot. I love to hear that.
No, it's very true. So Pete, we're kind of talking about that, and we've been pretty interested in your rebuild. You say that you're not really looking for those backdoor deals right now. I've kind of learned to never really trust what you've been saying. I feel like that means that you're looking for them now more than ever. What are your plans now as we approach kind of the end of the season? I was kind of thinking for a timeline, maybe 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, we open things back up, kind of get the market going a little bit, kind of call that the start of the new season, start making some moves leading up to the draft. Do you have kind of your sights set on anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a student of the game. This is my second year now playing Dynasty Fantasy Football, and if I've learned anything from year one, there's going to be two ways this offseason. Right after the season ends, people are going to be interested. They're going to want to make moves right away. I think my picks could have some value there. And then it's going to hit the dead period until we get up to pretty much NFL draft time. And that's when interest goes back up again. But I started to think about it really regardless of the talent pool that's in this draft. I think Simona's going to get hot and try to get into the first round regardless of the talent there. So I'll probably field some offers right after the end of the season, but I expect there to be a lull, and I don't feel any pressure to make any moves until beginning of next year.
So is that what you're looking to do though? You're looking to trade those first rounders?
I mean, I want to get two running back, wide receivers, flex positions out of that. If that's by trade, that's by trade. If that's by draft, that's by draft. But I'll take
Out of both picks, or out of like both picks combined, or
yeah, I could package them both for a stud, or depends who's there.
interesting. You said that you heard you were hearing from a certain former owner. I'm a little hot. I'm leaning in too much.
Yeah.
You're hot on the mic. You're hot on the mic, baby.
Hold on, wait, Mike. I don't know what's going on with my camera. My camera keeps going on. I mean,
Looks like you got a strong one. You got a strong mic. You can.
But no, it's because I'm leaning. I'm trying to watch this. I'll push this over. I'm leaning in so I can watch the football game on the screen over here. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So Pete, you said that you heard from a certain former owner of Team 3.
Yeah, I mean, I pride myself on having my ear to the pulse of the league. Ex owners, current owners. I like to stay in touch. I like to keep ties. You never know when that relationship's going to profit or help myself out. But anyway, yeah, Mr. Sean Fitzgerald reached out to me yesterday. He said, "Pete, I got to ask, what's my picks looking like?" So I mean, it's in his head. It's in his head. It's always been in his head. Personally, if Sean Fitz chose to reapply, I told him that he has me in his corner.
Did you talk to him about applying for a reinstatement?
He didn't answer, but I did say, Fitz, if you chose to reapply, you've got me in your corner.
Interesting.
We'll see what he says.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that he's going to come back. I think after
back?
that, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he'll come back with some dignity.
George, what's your take on a Fitz reapplication?
Yeah, I mean, right now, to be honest with you, we're really focused on our matchup that we have. So, like I said earlier, the Zits have a lot of good players on their team. Jonathan Taylor, kind of hottest back in the league right now. Matthew Stafford, he's playing some really good football. He's able to get the ball out quick. Luckily, we have Cooper Kupp, so that's good. He's also a good player. But with Urban Meyer gone now, James Robinson's obviously going to be more involved in the offense. So we obviously have a handful ahead of us, so we can't, look ahead to the end of the year or anything like that. We got to kind of just be focused on taking it one game at a time. We got 3 games this week, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we think we play a full 3 days. we're going to give ourselves an opportunity. So that's kind of what we're locked in and focused on right now.
Well said.
Even better than the first time, actually.
George, have you been in contact with Baron and Kyle about potentially taking over a team?
Yeah, I mean, for us, really, I'm in contact with Joe about how I can put the best team together this week. We got 3 days of football, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're really focusing on each day. We got to make sure that the correct players are in the lineup. 3 days. So, got to be a little bit more attentive. That's something that has bit us in the butt a little bit. We know Damien, he's the type of guy, he can be game time. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that one because if he doesn't play, we're going to make sure that we get somebody in there for him so that we can compete. We have beat other teams that are in the playoffs without putting a running back in that spot, but we don't want to, put ourselves in that position in the playoffs. So that's something we're keeping an eye on. So that's really where our main communication has been on that front.
Once again, well said. Okay, George,
Let's
did you
get
bring
into the
anything else to
matchup
the
then.
table? Did you bring any topics?
Let's get into George's matchup then.
Yeah, what else are you gonna say about your matchup? It's you versus the Zits right now. We have a game going on. You've got two people going. You've got Kittle and you've got Ayuk.
2 receptions, 3 points apiece at the half.
Yeah, they actually both have. Yeah, they both have 2 catches. They both have 21 yards going. I'd say it's a little slow of a start. Projection wise, you've dipped just below. So that makes it a little. Are you starting to maybe hit the panic button? Do you feel like having the Thursday start can always be a little tough because it really sets the tone for your week, right? And if you get off to a slow start, then all of a sudden you feel like you're kind of playing from behind moving forward, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's right. But I think for us, it's really taking it one play at a time, one game at a time, really, one player at a time. And so Kittle and Ayuk, have they started off slow today? I don't know. I mean, Kittle, was working the back of the end zone there and Garoppolo threw that interception. So, we get that. That's a touchdown there. But, Ayuk, he's been involved. Clearly, you can see that he's involved in the offense. The 49ers kind of had no trouble the first quarter moving the ball up and down the field. So you got to imagine that they're going to get back to a little bit of that. So, we're a touchdown away. I think one of those guys catches one today, along with Debo, who I may or may not have money on to score a touchdown. So that's kind of what we're focused on here. But end of the half here, you want to just maybe run the ball, throw a pass to Ayuk, and then kind of come back and see what you can do. Unless you can break one here with Debo, then you want to take a shot with Ayuk down the field there.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I did take Ayuk and Kittle to score a touchdown. So you have my support in that aspect. Speaking of somebody that has Titans under 9.5 first half, under 20.5 full game, Niners minus 1.5 first half. You're going to be feeling good right now. Can confirm it feels good. Pete, what do you think about this matchup? 2 Pinz and the Zits. What's your pick to move forward to the championship?
Yeah. I got a little breakdown here. I really dug deep into George's game here. So this is a week 6 rematch between Pinz and Bowen. Week 6, 2 Pinz put up 150 to Bowen's 134. 2 Pinz got the W. Tough to beat a team twice in one season. Tough to beat the same team twice in one season, as history says. So I think that's going against you, George. The pros, you got Herbert versus Houston. You get your Houston week out of Herbert, so that's awesome. And then the biggest thing I like about your team this week is Jamar Chase lit up the Ravens in week 7 for 30 points. A secondary that was riddled with injuries in week 7. And Baltimore's even more riddled now with COVID and injuries. They had 9 players out on defense for COVID. And of the 24 players they have on defense on the roster, only 13 of them practiced 1 day this week. So, I mean, you put up 30 against a Baltimore team that was like, a little banged up. This team is absolutely dismantled. And I think Chase absolutely tears them apart. Cons I see in this game, George, is Mahomes could be without Tyreek and Kelsey.
Yeah.
Tyreek got put on Tuesday. Kelsey got put on Monday. So I think Kelsey's got a better shot. But, I mean, that's 2 primetime weapons for Mahomes here, who's missed a couple throws lately. And then you got also Gibson, Gimpy.
Has the tape.
Play Tuesday night, sat out practice Wednesday, and Damien's questionable.
Yeah.
that's the breakdown I put together for you, George.
Yeah, it's a good rundown about you. It really is. I think that, to address a couple of those points, the main thing that we're really focused on is today's game, and just making sure that Ayuk and Kittle can get involved in the offense, make sure that they're being kind of productive there and they're able to get going. I've talked to Joe about just matchup, what it means. It means a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't mean a lot to the fan base, doesn't mean a lot to the people that have supported us over the course of this season. But really, the things that we can do is control what we can control. Take one game at a time, one possession at a time. Really, I don't know if you've heard, but there's football on 3 days this week. You got Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that forces you to be like a little bit more attentive there. Luckily, our guys are vaccinated, so we think that they have a good shot at being able to play this week. That's kind of where our mindset is and what we're focused on.
That's good. I guess maybe we can go around the horn right now, maybe give some picks. Pete, who do you got in this matchup?
Honestly, after the breakdown this week and I took a look at it, I do like two Pinz in this matchup. Like I said, Herbert and Chase should light this week up, but I got to stick to my guns from my original take last week that George is not going to make the final. So yeah, I'm on Bowen, but I don't feel great about it.
George, who do you got?
Yeah, I just got to focus on this week. I think focus on today.
Do you have a pick for the game?
Oh, I got a pick for the other matchup.
Two Pinz versus the Zits.
Can't pick my own game, but I can give you a pick for the other game.
Okay, so you have two Pinz. I'm gonna go with the Zits. I think the Zits are gonna win here. I feel like they might be the team of destiny. They're looking to run it back, kind of avenge their own loss last year. I don't know. I feel like at the end, two Pinz trading all those picks for Antonio Gibson, not kind of sitting back and maybe taking somebody a little bit cheaper like Cordarrelle Patterson. I think that's going to come back to bite them in the ass.
Or someone
not really being able to address their running back issues. So I think that this is maybe the Zits' time. I think that they're going to go on to the championship. We're going to get Zits versus another team that we'll discuss in a little bit. So I guess at this time we'll say no pick from George. So it's a sweep. It's a sweep for the Zits. 2-0.
What I do think is interesting here, George, is you're kind of changing your tune. It's been nothing but confidence and mouth running for 2 weeks now. And now we're just focused on the game. Now we're just focused on today. Sounds like a little bit of a tune change.
Well, so you might not know this because you probably haven't been in the playoffs, don't know what it feels like. But once you get in there, anybody can beat anybody on any one of the 3 days of football that we have this week on Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday. So you got to respect your opponent. I've always had a lot of respect for Zits. Obviously, they were in the championship last year, so they got a good team on them, and they've only gotten better over the years. And this year, a lot of people doubted them. Not me. I was one of the people that was kind of telling people this is a team that people should watch out for. The same with Mikey Bowen's team, and here they both are. So I have a lot of respect for the Zits. I have a lot of respect for the Bowens as a family. And so I'm just giving my opponent the respect that they deserve. And that's all that is. So I think we're just as confident as we were the past couple of weeks in our team's ability. But, ultimately, if we don't perform in the present, then there will be no, kind of future to discuss.
I think that's a good mindset to have. I feel like George has been pretty humble all year. Him and Joe. They like to just spark discussion. They like to ask, "Hey, where are we in the rankings? Hey, who won this week?" They're just asking. They're just looking to start some discourse in the league chat. Can't hate on that. We do have some owners that never do that, so it's always appreciated. I feel like we can move on to the next matchup. We got Big Brain LLC going against Go Tigers. Big Brain, obviously, they were the dominant force last year that got upset after getting a bye, easily getting a bye in the playoffs. They got upset by the Zits in the second round. Now they're playing Mikey Bowen in the second round. Right now, projections have it at just about even. A slight less than a point edge to Mikey Bowen right now based on his start from Ryan Tannehill. He's got 10 of 13 completions, but only 40 yards. Like we were saying, the Thursday can really be a tone setter. That's not really what you want to be getting out of your quarterback in a super flex league. Obviously, there are the COVID scares with Eckler. It sounds like he's probably going to be back, but you really never know. Sometimes it can kind of get a little messy on the edge. You got Mixon, you got Adams, you got Keenan Allen. Travis Kelce's been dealing with the COVID as well. Gaskin, Gage has been getting good work, but Gaskin, he's been so shaky. And then Rodgers going against, good Cleveland defense, but he should be fine. I don't know. Do you guys think that maybe Mikey has a chance to go on somewhat of a, I feel like it's not the right term as a 3 seed, but I feel like based on expectations, a Cinderella run to the championship, or does Big Brain kind of exercise their demons and get to the championship and finally try to avenge everything that happened last year?
You want to be wrong. You want to be wrong first, Pete.
Does that imply that you'll be wrong second, George?
No, it means you'll be wrong second, and then I'll come and clean it up.
Pete, I'll let you start.
Yeah, I mean, I've been preaching Big Brain for the last couple of weeks, but I can't get behind him this week. Kelsey out, Eckler out. I just don't. It's tough in this start from Tannehill. It's just like I can't get behind Big Brain. But again, these injuries, these COVID listings, like this wasn't predicted. It's things I said before, George, before you get all hot and bothered, was assuming a healthy roster at the time. Now, I still think Big Brain has a chance to win this game. Like they've got Mixon going against the Baltimore defense that's in shambles, like I just told you about. But to get this done, especially with this start from Tannehill, they're going to need a huge game from Rodgers and Adams against Chicago. Rodgers put up 23 and Adams had 10 against Chicago when they played him in week 6. So I don't know. They got to explode against Chicago. I think that's the only way Big Brain wins this game. But I think smart money's on Mikey.
Well, I guess George wants me to go second. I'm kind of split on this matchup. I think that the projection having it being almost dead even is spot on with how I feel. If I could, I'd pick nobody. Mikey, I feel like maybe you do have to lean Mikey just based off of the COVID concerns right now with Big Brain and then seeing how Tannehill's going. But, we've talked about how Mikey's a streaky team, and I feel like maybe he got a little bit, he got lucky last week with how he advanced, but he got that ugly game out of the way, right? He got that 81-point game out of the way. Is he going to have another one, or is he going to bounce back and come strong with maybe that 130, 140-point game? And if Tannehill's starting off this slow, that's a really bad sign for Big Brain. You got to hope that, or they got to hope that Eckler and Kelsey can both be back, but also that's a whole week of just kind of sitting around wondering if they're even going to make it in. I think that it's really Mikey's game to lose.
Yeah.
George,
and he's got Joe Burrow going against that Ravens defense. Like Joe Burrow's gonna go for 40 this week.
Yeah. So George, it sounds like based on what you were saying before we spoke, it sounds like you have Big Brain this week. The floor is yours.
Hold on, let me just get my notebook out here, because I took some notes on what you guys have been saying the past couple of weeks when you were dick riding Big Brain LLC. So I'm shocked right now that you're both walking it back. I'm actually shocked first in you, Pete. You had the audacity to come at me. It sounds like you're changing your time. It sounds like you're look at you. Fucking coming over here. What
are the things you said? You said you have notes. Show us your
notes. Everything you're about to tell me.
Are you done? Are you done? Because I let you speak. I didn't interrupt you. I was very nice when you were walking back everything that you said over the past 3 weeks. Here I am coming to actually bring out the truth. Tell the people it's all recorded. They can go look it up. They can see it. Show
us your notes. You showed your notebook.
Kieran, you gotta mute me. You gotta mute me because I'm gonna.
Kieran, what show is this right now? We're on
the Lex Pinz show. No, you said that you had our quotes. So how about you expose us then?
No, I don't. I just have some notes that I took down, and I was just kind of jotting it down every time you guys would say that you love Big Brain LLC. Big Brain LLC is the juggernaut. Big Brain LLC can't be slept on. Big Brain LLC is gonna go on a run. I love Big Brain LLC. I'd love to have a threesome with the LLC. Now you guys are over here. You're walking it back. You're talking to And then I was like, I don't sleep on.
See, I don't think you can pull these types of receipts on us. I actually don't think you have that.
Go check.
Yeah, there's
go
no
check
way.
No,
the
because
There's no way.
I think
And
I think what you're kind of
I knew that it was
doing.
gonna be. I knew.
I think what you're kind of doing is
He's
maybe
not
proving
married
the
to the game like
point.
that.
I think what you're kind of doing is proving the point of what I would make during
Yeah.
times like the power rankings where I'd rank them one when they just
Yeah.
had 2 weeks where were like the highest scoring team. They put up like 190 points, things like
Yeah.
that. And where I would always say that I'm basing that off of the now and I'm not trying to be predictive. And
Yeah.
right now I'm basing my prediction for this week off the now. And what I'm seeing is that Big Brain has COVID scares. They
Yeah.
have a slow start with one of their quarterbacks. And Mikey's got, a good schedule when he's kind of due for a bounce back week statistically. So this whole time, I feel like I've actually been as consistent as can be where I'm using the now.
Well said, Lex.
Yeah.
And
Very
right
well said.
now, I have Go
that's-
Tigers.
Yeah, that's totally wrong. But listen,
Very well said.
I knew that once it came down to the time for you guys to stand in your truth, that you'd both team up and but the good thing is these things are recorded. They can go back, they can listen to the tape. I think you were.
It sounds like
literally
you
waving
haven't
the
listened to the tape though.
It's not, I think Pete was the one waving the pom-poms last week. He was saying that I was being arrogant. He was saying that I was saying all this and all that about how you can't sleep on. What did you say? You cannot just dismiss the Big Brain LLC. Now here you are. You're on Bowen's team. But let me get to my pick for this week. It's Bowen. I think it's going to be Bowen pretty easily. I expect Jay Jeff to have a big game because they call him Big Game Jeff. I think Najee is going to be able to. It's actually going to be tough for Najee to run on that front. I like Amari this week. I like T. Higgins. I think he'll get some good play out of Joe Burrow. And I mean, the Bears' offense is putrid, but Chubb is going to have a good day against that Green Bay front. So I do expect that Mikey will be able to pull this thing out. I said it a landslide. I'll walk that back because I actually am a man of integrity, unlike some people on this show. I do think it'll be close, but I think Big Brain LLC will be exactly what I have been saying Big Brain LLC is, and that's a fraud. And you can go back and check the tape on that. I've been consistent. Some people haven't. I don't blame them. I'd walk it back too if I knew I was about to be dead wrong and I was going to have to come on the show defend my dead wrong takes. So, yeah, I got Mikey this week. I like him close. I like Mikey close, and I think Mikey's gonna. I can't wait to see Mikey's gritty. I'm gonna put out a call right now, Mikey. Once you get into the finals, maybe you can show us what your gritty looks like.
That would be good.
We got to get a GIF of it. That's what we really got to get.
To see you gritty. I think Mike Bowen gritties into the finals this week.
We need a Mike Bowen gritty GIF that we can just post every time that like Justin Jefferson scores a touchdown or something.
And he's going to draw Ramsey this week.
That is true. That is true. I actually think Najee Harris is going to have a good game. I think that the Steelers are one of my picks. I like them against Kansas City. I actually didn't make my top 5 picks, but I might sprinkle a little bit on Steelers money line. That's a K Butter pick of the week right there.
That's a pro pack pick.
So I guess it's Go Tigers across the board. But I must say
only some of us get credit for the Go Tigers pick. If Go Tigers win, neither of you get credit for that pick. I think you guys should honestly automatically be locked into Big Brains. I think it's sad what's happening.
Well, I just think it's interesting that we're
Yeah,
talking
George,
about
not being able
Like,
to stand by your convictions. It's sad. I mean, it really is.
we're
But
talking about the number 2 seed that I
That's
had
what
ranked like 6th like a month ago.
it
So
happens.
I think that you're really you're kind of just parsing through the information and picking out whatever suits your narrative.
Back-to-back weeks, you had them ranked number 1. Now you're afraid to pick them in the playoffs, and those are the facts.
I had them ranked number 1. They were a 1 seed that I know.
George, I mean, how can you even
Those are the facts.
like you're out of your tree. You're out of your tree. Austin Eckler, the number 2 running back in the league this year. Travis Kelce, the number 2 tight end in the league this year. Number 2 at their position, running back and tight end. And they are out for COVID.
Oh, true. You think that affects their
A
quarterback?
week ago, everything said a week ago, that was not in play. How do you not wrap your head around that?
Who is their quarterbacks? You think that affects their quarterbacks? Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. You think they're affected by 2 of their best players being out?
Yeah, that was part of my recap. That was part of my analysis on your team.
But I got people picking but you picked the Zits because of why? What was the ultimate reason you ended up picking the Zits? Because you were sticking to what you said earlier this year, right? Because you were sticking to the fact that you said, even though you said you liked my team to win, you threw your end logic was I'm just gonna pick them because that's what I said earlier. And
right.
then when it
and
gets
there's no
then when it
overwhelming
gets the big
reasons to
brain,
not get
then
off
when it
these
gets the
things.
big brain, you're like,
Where are the
too
receipts
scared
on me
to-
picking Big Brain to win it all?
I'm too scared to pick them.
Where are the receipts on me picking Big Brain?
I don't even know
There's-
who you picked.
I definitely
don't
have
even
a
know who
receipt
you
out
picked
there.
to win it all.
I've picked Bowen. I've picked myself. And that's really it. I mean, in the
my Greg's
preseason
lower,
rankings,
to be honest.
I predicted it would be a much closer season for Big Brain. Here they are. They finished as the 2 seed, where last year they were a 1 seed, and they were a distant 1 seed. So I feel like I was actually pretty spot on with that. And then I've had them ranked as 6th. I gave them their flowers when they shot all the way up to being a 1 seed, and they were leading they had all these points. They had 190 points in 1 week. So I feel like I was just maybe paying them some respect with the power rankings. I feel like you're misinterpreting how power rankings work.
Who ended up being the 1 seed, by the way?
Oh, I believe it was you, right?
Oh, okay. When were we ranked 1?
Well, did you not become a 1 seed like the last
No, I
2
was
weeks
just checking.
before
No,
the
I
next
was
power rankings?
No, I was just checking because because the way you were speaking, I thought that they.
But before the playoffs started, how many power ranking shows? Before the playoffs started, how many power ranking shows did we do where you were the 1 seed?
0.
Exactly. So you're asking for
So
something
that-
when
so that
it just
makes
wasn't
my-
attainable.
That proves my point.
No, it does not.
It absolutely does.
How does that prove?
We're
your
the
point?
best. We were the best team. We had showed that we were.
No,
the best
because
team
you were
in the
literally
league
just asking about.
all
We were
year.
just talking about the power rankings and where I had Big Brain ranked in the season when they were putting up 190 points and becoming a top seed, and they were
And then
putting up.
didn't
I mean,
end up
they
being-
literally set the
they didn't end
record
up
for
being
most
a top
points.
seed.
They literally set the record for most points in a game in our league history.
198.
So at that point, I put them at number 1 in the power ranking.
Credit to
There was
them.
never a power ranking show where
During week 11.
going
Just
into
like,
it,
by the way.
you were ranked number 1.
Hey, credit
So-
to them for putting up the most points in the league and then being the 2nd seed. Big accomplishment on their end. You got to give them their flowers for that. I agree with you, actually.
I don't
You
know who you're
actually-
arguing with. That's the thing. I don't know who you're arguing with.
No, I'm not. I just said I'm on your side now. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. They put up the most points in the league. Give them their flowers. They should put up like the Indianapolis Colts have. They could put up like had the most points 1 game.
No, because what the problem is that you're
and then
just
maybe they
you
could
just
put that
completely
next to
don't
the not being
understand.
the 1 seed.
You just clearly don't understand what power rankings are.
I do understand what power.
No,
rankings
because
are. You're ranking the best.
No,
team
because
in the league.
you're clearly not listening to what I say every week, which is that they're not predictive. If they were predictive, the rankings would have been so much different than how they were, but they were based off of what had literally just happened in the last 2 weeks. So when a team puts up 198 points, and then I know they put up a lot of points in the other week, and they shoot up from being a 6 seed or a 5 seed to being a 2 seed, then yeah, at that time they are the most powerful team in the league. But there was never a point. There was never a point in the season where we were doing a power ranking show before the playoffs started. So there's never a point in the regular season where we're doing a power ranking show where your team was ranked number 1. So why, or like as the 1 seed, and you weren't leading your division, so you didn't have that type of leverage. And at the time, you didn't have the most points in the league, so you didn't have that either. So at what point would I ever rank you number 1 if I'm not trying to be predictive and I'm just going off of the current circumstances?
So are you saying that your power rankings are always identical to the standings in the league?
No, because they are not. Maybe sometimes they are, but there are plenty of weeks where they're not.
So when they're not identical to the standings in the league, what is that?
Because it's going off of different stuff. Because first of all, the standings, like there were points in the season late where McMorrow was just dropping, and the only reason that he was so high up at the time in the actual standings were because he put up so many points at the beginning of the season, like the first 6 weeks, I believe I put in the chat, he had 140 points, and then the last 8 weeks he averaged like 100. So that type of output in the first 6 weeks shot him up the standings. So he was slowly dropping down, but as more weeks happened, those stats got diluted, and then he started dropping more and more. And then all of a sudden he went from being the overwhelming 1 seed to probably being able to hang on to the 2 seed. So all of a sudden he couldn't win games and he was dropping out. So now he's the 5 seed. So when you see those happening and you see McMorrow putting up 90 points and you see teams like my team that are ranked behind him in the standings but are going on runs where I'm putting up 130 points and just outscoring him, and I'm winning, I think it was 5-6 games in a row. I'm clearly on a hotter streak than him. So even though he might be 2 seeds above me, or at the time he's a division leader, so he's locked into a 3 seed, you can see that he's going to drop out. So he doesn't have that type of power, or when he finally drops out, he might not be as strong as the other top 3 seeds. So you can like look at that and say, okay, well, this team's clearly not playing as well, so I'm going to move that around. So that's why sometimes it might look like the standings because it's 12 teams, so it's only so many. You can't change that much. But there's plenty of times where there's 2 seeds that are just flip-flopped or something. I don't think that means that it's predictive.
Sounds like there's some opinion based in those rankings. Then.
But not really though. I mean, when you're just looking like when McMorrow's putting up 100 points a week, and the only reason he was seeded so high for the first 6 weeks was because he was scoring 140. But now he doesn't have Derrick Henry. He was losing, I don't know whoever else he lost. Dalvin Cook was out or something, and he's not winning games, and he's moving down the standings. And you just see, and it's like, okay, in these last 6 weeks, the slow stroke Kings have played better than McMorrow. So at that point, I would rank them out like that. I feel like that's just how that works. Like you're looking at actual data, and that's output from the last 2 weeks, from the last 4 weeks, based on the whole season, and saying this team has been playing better now, so I will give them the bump over this team. I don't really think that's predictive. I think that's using stats that we have.
Yeah, using the information that you've seen to form an opinion on where you think that somebody's currently is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because I don't have like an algorithm, sure. Like at the end of the,
it's not an algorithm.
But it's like if I could take, but like if I could take all the data and just like put it into an algorithm and like spit out power rankings, then like sure, that'd be great. But like obviously I'm not going to do that. So at the end of the day, I have to interpret the data how I interpret it. But I feel like to a point, it's pretty objective where you can look at McMorrow's. I keep leaning on him as an example, but I think it's perfect where you can look at his recent weeks and you can see why he's dropping. And when he goes on 6 straight weeks of not scoring over 100 points, then who's stronger at that time? His team or a team that's putting up 130 that might be a game back because they don't lead in their division at that point.
Go ahead, Pete.
No, I think if you don't understand power rankings after that, then you never will.
I didn't. Sorry, I wouldn't have let you talk about it if I had known that you were still in the pocket of Kiernan. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not in the pocket of Kiernan, but I understand his explanation.
You're in the
of power
pocket,
rankings.
and you just regurgitating whatever he's going to say, which is a waste of time because he could speak for himself. So, the thing. That
I feel like that. I feel like you're kind of that was a little disrespectful towards me because you're kind of making an implication that I can't speak for myself when I just went on that whole rant. But I mean, I guess I have to just further explain to you. I literally just said word for word. We don't need you to talk because Kiernan can speak for himself. So I don't know how you could possibly get from that statement, Kiernan cannot speak. Okay, so we'll just move on then. We'll move on. But I still think, okay, so tell me at what point in the season were you a team that you were the 1 seed, you were the division lead, you led the league in points, like you met all that criteria where you had the most leverage in the league in the regular season that we did a power rankings?
I have breaking news. If we're sick of this conversation. Reply from Sean Fitz. Bear with me, it's a little lengthy. Pete, meant to thank you for doing the research for me yesterday. Much appreciated. Would have been satisfied with that outlook moving forward. Unfortunately, I will not be reapplying. Bessie crossed a line, and I don't really consider the kid my friend anymore. I don't have much respect for kids half my size that spew out fighting words over a screen because they're upset with a fantasy football take. It's been enjoying Sundays without dealing with the type of negativity. But if you ever want to run a trade by me or need some amateur law advice, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I'm sure he's the person you should run a trade by. Probably the worst fantasy owner we've ever played with. He has built a team that I think will now be hard to sell because it's in such bad condition. So we'll see if anyone wants to take it over. It's always ironic when somebody kind of says that stuff and they're talking about through a screen when they're quite literally typing it out. Sean Fitz spent plenty of time together. He knows exactly how it goes down. So best of luck to him and his, career as a clerk at a local courtroom. Anyways, we'll get back to this conversation about the power rankings. George, at what point in the season where we did a power ranking show did you have the most leverage that made you the most powerful team? I guess is the best way to put it.
When we'd already beaten the team that you ranked number one. But honestly, you're right. We can't move on.
Yeah, but this isn't the college football. This isn't the college football committee, though.
Eventually, if Big Brain loses and we go on to win, we'll be proven right one way or another. I think we've already been proven right, but we'll continue to do that. So that's what we're focused on, is just continue to prove our point and prove ourselves right.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just kind of trying to. You're arguing with like nobody. You're trying to create. You're being that person online that just creates an opinion and then you argue against it.
This one is good. No, those are Lamar Jackson fans. This one you can go back and watch the tape. This one you can go back and watch the tape. I have been consistently, all jokes aside, I've been consistently banging the drum that the Big Brain LLC is an overrated team, that they don't deserve to be ranked number one. And I have consistently made arguments for other teams that I think should be ranked higher than them.
That's true.
And at the end of the day, all those things came true about my team.
But those are also your opinions.
I think it's clear. Well, I think if it turns out to be clear, sorry. If it turns out,
but that's what you're talking about. You're literally giving your opinion. Then you're saying if it turns out to be clear. So that's your predictive opinion. Where all my power rankings are based off of what has literally happened, what has transpired in the past 2 weeks.
It's literally not right.
Yes, it is.
You ranked the team and said they had more power than me. Then when you
because they were the one because they led their division because they led their division. They shot up from like 6 in points for to top 3 in points for.
More powerful than you.
George, you were never a division leader until the last week.
How can you say that they were more powerful than me?
Because you didn't have a 1 seed. You literally could not have a top 3 seed. Because you could not have a top 3 seed, George. George, because you could not.
Listen.
Because you could not have a top 3 seed. Because you could not have a top 3 seed when we did those rankings. No, because when we did those rankings, you could not have a top 3 seed because you weren't a division leader. They were.
I'm done.
They were a division leader. They were a division leader, so they had more leverage than you because they had the path to a bye week, which you did not when we did those rankings. So how do they not have more leverage than you do? Explain that, you fucking asshole.
Once he starts muting,
no, explain that, you fucking moron. Tell me how a team that has a path to a bye week that you doesn't have more leverage than you, you fucking idiot.
I won again. Congratulations. Credit to me.
You won what?
You're muting me because you're afraid of my team.
No, because you're not letting me talk. Because this whole time you're like, "Oh, Pete, are you going to let me talk? You're going to let me talk?" But then when I start talking, you think that you can just ramble over me with your fucking moron thoughts. So I'm getting it off, and I'm saying, how can a team that has a clear path to a bye week in the present moment at the time of the rankings not have more leverage than you, who was not a top 3 seed because you did not have the division lead? Explain that.
Because I ended up with all the things that you.
Because that's predictive. That would be predictive.
Are you cutting me off? Are you going to mute yourself?
No, because that would make it predictive. If I said, "Oh yeah, I think at the end of the day, George will end up in a better spot," that is me predicting. At the time, they had a bye week and you did not. So they were more powerful than you. Therefore, they rank higher in the power rankings. If I was being predictive, then maybe I would have said, I think at the end of the day, 2 Pinz will still go farther. But as I've said every week, these are not predictive power rankings. I am just going off of what has happened since the last power rankings. So when a team puts up 198 points, that kind of puts the league on notice. And yeah, they're going to go up and they're going to be higher in the power rankings than teams that did not do that. And teams that are not division leaders. That is just how it works. That is how it makes sense. That is what I've done all year. And what you're doing is saying those are wrong though, because at the end of the day, this happened. But I was not trying to predict. If I was trying to predict, it would have had a different outlook.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that ultimately we got the answers to the question, and it turned out to be that my team was the one that was the most powerful. And that,
yeah, but you're going against my power rankings, and that is not like you're not making the same argument as me, so it doesn't even make sense.
We are making sense. There's the reason that the last show.
No, because a month ago they were in a better position.
Are you cutting me off again?
Yeah, I am, because it's my show.
Are you going to?
And a month ago, they were in a better position.
He's going to mute me because he's going to be like, "Oh."
Okay, then talk about it, you fucking moron.
Are you going to let me, or are you going to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If you get afraid, you can't mute me. What I was saying is the reason.
No. So, anyways, Pete, like, what do you think about this? Like, I mean, like, let you weigh in, Pete. What do you think?
I want to hear what George has to say in response to that last.
He's not gonna. There's no way he lets me get more than 3 sentences in.
Get it out, George.
The reason that we compared the end of the year, the preseason power rankings, to the end of the like power rankings that he had at the final year was to see like how closely they matched up, because we have the final information, right? It's the same thing with the end of the year. The season finally ends. We can compare what we actually see happen to what was ranked. So you can rank a team in the now and be like, right now, I think that they're more powerful than you. But then ultimately, we got the actual results in, like we played the games, and my team was more powerful than the Big Brain LLC.
Sure. And if there was like another week, like at the end of the time, if we were doing another power rankings instead of a playoff show, right, where we were just talking about the current seeding. So if I was going through and saying, okay, this is where I rank a team, this is where I rank a team, I would have ranked you guys higher. But there was never a week in the season where that was the case. So why would there ever be a power rankings where I would have you higher when in that current moment you just weren't? If the regular season went 3 weeks longer, then yeah, there would have been power rankings where you were higher.
This just feels like two different arguments to me. Like
that's what I'm saying. He's arguing it. He's arguing his power rankings that weren't doing that.
But like, I mean, George, you called your shot. Like you consistently said that your team was underranked.
Yeah, congrats. You believed in your team,
and you believed.
And at the end of
time,
time, you guys ended up being a one.
Okay, listen, I wouldn't. Okay, you guys still hear me?
I also think we can, George, but I also think it's ironic that like we have a show every time we do the power rankings. So like we deliberated then, and there was no point where I was like Kieran, these rankings are way off and unjustified. Except that last week when I wasn't on the show, it was just you two. That was the only rankings that was like at a bunch of shakeup the next week. But you guys are arguing two different things here. Kieran is validating his reason for his power rankings, which makes sense to me, and George is saying that he was the most powerful team the whole time, which clearly he was because he's top of the rankings now. But at the time of those power rankings, week 7, week 8, week 9, you weren't. So I mean, it's two different.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, like your non-predictive power rankings.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, Pete, is that that doesn't make any sense. The team
your non-predictive power rankings didn't predict this. Oh my god.
The team that's the most powerful is always the most powerful.
Yeah. So if there were end of season power rankings, guess who would have been the number one?
You saying that at the time I wasn't the most powerful, it doesn't make sense because it turns out that I was the most powerful.
No,
right,
that's
your team grew in value.
That would be being predicted.
Playing better, started scoring more points. Your team developed and got better.
When a team puts up 198 points, George.
But you said yourself that you take into consideration other factors, like the fact that team beat them. The fact that we beat the team that you're.
Why would I take that into consideration? This is not the college. This is not the college football playoff. Why would I take that into consideration?
All right, we're beating like.
Do you know how many weeks like you would beat like
over and over again.
10 other teams or something? Like, why would I take that into consideration? An actual head-to-head match? Like what?
Yeah. What are the things that you would take into consideration
for the power rankings? I just said.
Makes sense.
How many times would I have to explain that?
You wouldn't take winning games into consideration.
What? Because why would it matter? Like if we do like best ball, like if we did like best ball, it wouldn't matter like who you face. Like okay, in that week, okay, maybe 1 week some team has has players on bye week. Like I beat Big Brain when they had a bunch of people on bye week. That doesn't make me a better team than Big Brain. Just because I beat them on a week where they had a bye week. It doesn't just make me better. Like why does that matter? There are like so many weeks where it's like if you played somebody else, you would have lost, or you would have won. Why would I take that into consideration? This is not the college football playoff. Like I'm not. We're not comparing resumes. What?
Hey man, they're your rankings. They just turned out to be inaccurate.
They didn't even turn out to be inaccurate. We compared it last week.
George,
I had like half my picks were like dead on.
They weren't picks now because if they were picks, they'd be predicted. But
Well, if we're talking about the preseason power rankings where I was actually predicting, but you didn't bring that up until like 90% of the way through this entire conversation. We were literally talking about like the week, like 12 power rankings.
I'm talking. I mean, it doesn't matter regardless. They were
Because you had nothing to say last week when we actually went over the fucking preseason power rankings. So I guess maybe you went home, you took a shower, you maybe thought, I should have said that.
I said the same thing last week. Go check the film.
No, you didn't say shit. Go check the tape.
Go check the recording. You can go check the recording.
Hey, because you pull up your notebook, but you don't actually have any notes. Pull some quotes. Pull some quotes where I picked Big Brain to win it all.
I didn't. Did I say that? I just said that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Like to open the show, you were like, "Oh yeah, yeah. I want to do this. With Big Brain. Yeah. This. I feel like this with Big Brain. I think Big Brain will win this. I think Big Brain's better than this. Like you were saying all that, and you're like, "Oh, check the notes. I got notes right here." But it was just blank pieces of paper because you don't actually do it because you don't actually do the research. You don't actually check the notes. So you're just making up these like fucking weird ass arguments with nobody, and then you're trying to like project them onto us and say that that's what we're saying.
Yeah, that's wrong again. But
if you asked me week 14, who do you pick to win overall, and it was between Big Brain and Two Pinz, I would probably say Two Pinz. No, but that was never the question. So why would I ever make that pick?
I have no idea. I don't know what. Go ahead, Pete.
George, I just want to say you're never gonna see eye to eye with Kieran on this one. Like you're beating the dead horse over and over again. I don't really want to listen to it anymore. I don't know if the viewers do either. But George, you got 3 big days of football this week.
Yeah, it's like talking to a fucking moron brick wall.
It's talking to a wall. That's why he muted me.
I don't think your time is best spent.
George, I muted you because you sound like a fucking babbling idiot.
You muted me because you don't want me to talk.
No, because I'm trying to make a point and you weren't letting me do it. That's why I fucking muted you, dumbass.
If I speak too much sense, he either mutes me or kicks me out.
Yeah, I won't hold my breath waiting for you to speak sense, you fucking idiot. Try and speak some sense. Yeah, go pull on your boy. Oh yeah. What do you speak sense when you console your boy Igor? He's crying.
He just mutes me. He's either gonna mute you or
you speak sense with emotional Igor. Is that what you do?
What do you do with Fitz? When Fitz got mad at him, what do you do? Kicked him out of the league. I mean, it's the same shtick, but all of it ultimately it doesn't change the fact that the rankings were wrong, which is fine. Sometimes things.
The rankings weren't wrong. Yeah, you're saying, you're saying that the rankings are different a month later. Yeah, that's how that fucking works. God, I don't know. I just feel like we did so many power rankings episodes that it's appalling to me that you don't understand how the power rankings work. Like, guess what? I had McMorrow ranked number 1 week 2. Guess what? That ended up being wrong. Wow, persecute me for that.
Imagine you get out the league and into it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a piece of content that I make. It's more content than you make. So I don't know. You talk all the shit about Slippery Pete and you talk about his lack of effort, but he shows up earlier than you do, comes more prepared than you do. He creates more blogs. You have 0 on the year.
Well, also credit to me. We just had the most explosive argument that we've had on the show.
Thanks to me.
And KB did it in a Santa suit too.
Are you kidding me? If you had anybody else but me, that would have just been like a tame argument and nobody would have given a shit. That's all because of me that was the most explosive argument.
And he's in a Santa suit.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? Like, what did you wear?
That is the stupidest thing I've ever. Pete, I bring up the topic. I get him riled up. I get everybody excited.
What did you wear for the Christmas episode?
What the fuck?
Yeah. If you had anybody else on, then nobody would have had that argument. So it's like, what are you talking about? Thanks to you. That was thanks to me.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I'm glad it's recorded. We can have the people decide.
To recap the picks for the week, by the way, KB and I are both on a Bowen championship, and George is obviously betting on himself for a Mikey Two Pinz championship.
That's right.
We'll see how the chips fall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. George still getting off to a slow start. Would be a shame to see him lose. His first playoff game, right? This is your playoff debut, George?
Correct.
In this league, yep.
Yeah, so it'd be a shame. We've seen 1 seeds fall in the past to the Zits. So, don't want to see that happen again. Would like to see maybe a 1 seed kind of prove themselves, before running their mouths and talking nonsense on a show. And then I guess we'll see next week. We'll have the champions. I guess maybe we'll try and get the participants. So we'll have 2 extra guests in here to talk the championship, talk their matchup. But I guess we'll call it at that. Yeah, it looks like we're going on probably an hour now. So that's the week 16 holiday special. You wouldn't be able to tell if you looked at George. He wore nothing. That was holiday themed, Christmas themed.
Did you say anything about this being that Christmas themed show?
Well, you just got to feel like it's implied. It's 12/23, but not everybody has the same instincts.
If I
Not
ran
everybody's
a show,
made
I
out
would
for show
definitely-
business.
If I ran a show, I definitely would have communicated that. But you're right. Not everybody has the same.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's
Yeah,
just,
really.
I thought I called people on that I thought had good instincts. So I wore Christmas themed. Pete, everybody knows Patriots are as Christmas as it gets. That looks like an Edelman jersey. That's Yukon Cornelius.
I wore
Rudolph
Grinch
themed.
green. Credit to me for the Grinch green.
Looks like
We'll
you're
talk
wearing
about
military green.
This is Grinch
So,
green.
bootlicker, 2 pins. I guess maybe that can, if you want to change your team name, you could always make it that, the bootlickers.
We'll change it to Kiernan's Power Rankings. We're wrong. We'll see how that goes over.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you some literature, kind of get you up to date on exactly what power rankings look to accomplish. Maybe I'll pull some tape where, it's direct quotes of me saying that type of stuff about how I'm not trying to look to the future. I'm just trying to observe what just happened in the past. Like you said, maybe I'll pull a page out of your book. There's plenty of tape out there. Put it on you to find it. Because much like you, I have no intention of looking for that.
No,
I guess we'll call it there.
Yeah,
So that's the week 16 Lex, Pete, and Pin show. We'll be back next week with the 2 teams that are in the championship to talk to me, Pete, and so we'll call it at that. I'll stop recording.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.